back to another episode of Hello Ladies, Feminism and Pro Wrestling. I'm one of your hosts, Sabrina Hannon.
Megan Manley.
And this week has been interesting this past week in wrestling. Full disclosure, I had surgery on Thursday. So while I did watch SmackDown, Rampage, and Raw, I don't actually really remember them except for very small little bits. So I'm going to do my best.
And I have the memory of a gnat. So, I just had to look up the whole lineups of Dynamite and Rampage from last week because I could not remember. I remember a lot of Dominion, though. I watched New Japan over the weekend.
There you go. Yeah. I think, I think it's a little bit of a problem that you don't really remember any of the AEW stuff or WWE. Maybe that talks more about their booking, but
To be fair, I just don't pay attention anymore. Like, I don't know what it is. I changed my shift at work. I'm working more. I'm just tired. And by the time like night happens, I'm half asleep and kind of just like half scrolling on my phone and watching TV, even though I know I have a podcast that talks about wrestling. And like I'm awake, like I'm asleep with my eyes open, I feel like during these shows. So
fair
yeah.
enough. Yeah. Oh, and before I forget, everyone, be sure to suplex that like and subscribe button.
Yes.
I had to make myself a note so I remember to say it at the beginning of the podcast.
Nice.
So do it. I remembered. Now you hit that button. Yeah, and unfortunately this week has also been one that a lot has happened outside of the shows themselves, which I don't think there's any way of getting around talking about those things. So I mean, do we want to start off with the elephants in the room?
I mean, we might as well. Like the Jeff Hardy thing is probably the biggest news in wrestling right now. Well, besides what just came out about Vince, but I guess we could wait until there's more details on that.
Yeah, and also, like, as I had said, so apparently there was $3 million hush money that Vince paid out to someone he had an affair with. And as I said, I'm surprised he even bothered paying that because he's done worse on TV. Like, it's not surprising. I mean, I think we've talked about it before that, like, there are rumors that him and Linda are just married on paper really at this point. But yeah, I don't know. I think that the issue is really that she worked for the company and I guess she was a paralegal or something. And that is an issue. But again, based on what he's done on TV, it follows that would be how it went.
Yeah, like I said to you earlier, that the only thing that's shocking is that nothing like this has ever come out sooner.
Yeah, exactly. Now, as far as everything with Jeff Hardy, he was arrested in Florida this week for drinking and driving. Well, DUI. It was alcohol, though. I don't think they found any other drugs in his system. Apparently, he was on his way to get a brain scan, like an MRI. So, I mean, I'm wondering if he just got really shit-faced the night before, like, and kept drinking and wasn't sober yet. And he was like, I have this appointment, tra-la-la. But
I
his levels were so high.
Yeah, I heard it was like the equivalent if he had like 14 shots in within an hour. So I don't think it was he was drinking. I think that he's just a pure alcoholic, like he's an addict. Got up and started drinking, and it's really sad. And I just hope that he does get help if he doesn't end up in prison.
Yeah, because this is his second DUI within 3 years or 2 years, whatever it is up for a felony charge. And I think today is the court date, so there should be more on what he'll be charged with, I believe, after today. I mean, I think a lot of us had high hopes that with him going to AEW in theory, having a lighter schedule, although I watch Rebby Hardy's TikToks, and she says Matt's only home about 1 day a week. So he does not have a lighter schedule. And I mean, part of that I think is because they have the ability to schedule things for themselves. He himself is overbooking, perhaps because he senses that his career is coming to an end. But I'm sure if he's doing that, Jeff is probably doing the same. In fact, what they were doing in Florida was going for it was like an autograph session type thing at a Dave and Buster's, I think it was. And Jeff also had like a singing gig. And Rebia said on her TikToks that the rule was there was no alcohol that was allowed to be at the venue. Jeff was not allowed to be served, and they walked him to his hotel room that night. But as she said, short of having him sleep in between her and Matt, like there's nothing. Jeff is an adult, and I'm sure that Matt feels responsible-ish because he is the older brother. But the reality is, like, they're pushing 50 at this point. Like, he's not responsible for what his brother does. He has done everything that he can, including Matt has remained sober himself, which is amazing through all of this. Which, I mean, I think is also really a testament to the fact that Rebby was just like, you straighten up or I'm gone. So.
Yeah, that'll do it for some people. That if the person that you love is saying like, I love you, but I can't, that's enough to wake somebody up and have them I mean, you can't help somebody that doesn't want to help themselves. And sadly, it doesn't seem like Jeff wants to help himself yet. And I just hope, because like the thing is, like, Jeff, other than that, you don't really ever hear anything about him. Like, he's good to the fans. You don't hear that he's like abusive or anything like that. It's just like, addiction is an illness, and I hope that he gets help and gets better. Like I said, if he doesn't end up in prison, which it's a very good chance he could.
Yeah. And I don't believe this won't be his first prison stay either. So for some people, going to prison wakes them up. Doesn't seem like that would do the trick for him, unfortunately. So yeah. On a side note of that, one of my friends works for a major news station down in Florida, and actually he was in charge of putting out the headline of this on their website, and he got a call from WWE because he phrased it as like former WWE superstar Jeff Hardy, and he got a call from the corporate office being like, we want our names out of this. And I laughed. I said, well, of course they do. They offered him rehab. It was rehab or you're gone, and he chose to do the well, see you later. So yeah, they definitely don't want their name anywhere near this. And what he told them was, I'm not changing it because the only reason people know who Jeff Hardy is because he worked for you. And I laughed so hard. And I told him, I was like, if you ever meet an AEW fan, never tell them that. They will just stab you. That'll be the end of you.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I was just like, yeah, man. I think you could make the argument for Matt Hardy because he had broken Matt, that people would know him outside of the WWE universe because of the broken universe. And while Jeff was part of that, he's not really what caught fire in the wrestling world. And even outside of it a little bit, it was Matt. So,
I mean, non-wrestling fans are not even going to know the broken universe. They're going to like vaguely remember from when wrestling was super popular, when they were like in middle school, the Hardy Boys from WWF. Like, they might not even like realize WWE is the same thing if you're trying to like make a headline for someone that knows like that much about wrestling. So
I love how you automatically made all wrestling fans or non-wrestling fans our age.
well, yeah. I don't really know too many people like our age that still watch that. I know a lot of people that watch it like, oh yeah, I used to watch that when we were kids. But most people stopped watching like after like when I stopped before I came back. Like I'd be one of those people that like wouldn't know any of the other wrestling if it wasn't for getting together with Brian, and the fact that he still watched. That would have been a part of my life that was just gone. It would have been non-existent, and I would not be here with you right now.
That's very true. For numerous reasons. But
Yeah, I wouldn't have worked at that place again either.
yeah.
And he was the only reason I got rehired that time.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and that he like dragged, I think, me over to you and was just like, look, another woman who likes wrestling. Be friends.
Yeah, I was just trying to like stall taking calls and get my morning coffee. He's like, I brought a friend.
He just, in like the cartoon version of this, he gives us each a wrestling figure and he's like, go play.
Oh my God, I would log in and I would immediately go into not available, like right at 9 o'clock, and just take off and like say I had to go to the bathroom and then come out and then just like take my time making a coffee, make one for Brian. Oh God, I hated it so bad, and I did whatever I could do to not take a call.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't blame you at all. But yeah, obviously we wish, Jeff the best, and also for people to stop harassing the shit out of Matt and Rebby Hardy.
Basically, out of anybody that isn't Jeff. I mean, it's not fair people blaming Tony Khan either. Like,
No.
it wouldn't have been fair to blame Vince if he was still in WWE. It's not fair to blame Tony. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Hardy is a full grown man and he makes his own decisions, and it's not anyone's fault but his. Like, no one else should be being harassed. No one's an enabler. People are doing what they can to not have alcohol around him. He can legally buy it, so it's him. It's just all Jeff.
Yeah. And he also, I guess in his car, he was supposed to have one of those things that you have to blow into, like the breathalyzer, to actually start your car, and he didn't have that, so that's another infraction against him.
Because he had a rental car. It wasn't his car, so he wasn't supposed to have another car. And
Mm-hmm.
also, it looked like in the video, after the cops like pulled the guns on him immediately, he like drove forward a bit. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering if he wasn't stopping, and that's why they immediately came to the car with guns.
Yeah. From what I've read, was they had a hard time getting him to pull over. Which is why and the reason it wasn't that a cop spotted him. People were calling 911 on because of what they were seeing. So, like that had to be super scary for anybody else on the road. I think we've all unfortunately had those experiences where you just see someone going nuts, and I mean, a highway, there's no way he was going slow. So I do appreciate that Tony Khan, like AEW, put out that statement that, obviously Jeff Hardy's been pulled from anything going forward, which they would have to because no one knows what the outcome is going to be legally. But that they've, offered him rehab, and he, interested in it. Again, it depends on what comes out of this court case. And that he is suspended without pay until he completes rehab and stays sober. So I don't think at this point AEW has some sort of wellness policy quite like WWE, but I think that this is going to make them look at their policies and maybe create one. Because unfortunately, this is a situation that is likely to come up again, not even necessarily just with Jeff Hardy, but with other wrestlers. It is an industry where people have means and access to things, and they're also banging up their bodies pretty good. So
Yeah, I was wondering if, like, with some of the recent matches, you could tell that he was really struggling to move, and I'm really hoping that, like, he wasn't hiding how much pain he was in and then trying to drink it away, because they're supposed to have that ladder match on Wednesday with
the Young Bucks and Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus.
Yep. And I'm really hoping that like he wasn't trying to like mask his pain with the alcohol, but decided to get behind. That's the thing. Like, why get behind the wheel? Like, okay, if you're gonna drink, you shouldn't be, but whatever. Don't drive. Like, there's
call an Uber.
Yeah, like there's Uber, there's Lyft, there's cabs, there's family, there's like
right, like, and maybe he didn't want like Matt and Rebby to know he had been drinking, but again, Uber.
Yeah, I mean, you are probably a millionaire at this point. You could probably hire a driver, like not even, like a limo type thing, like a fancy Uber, like
yeah,
there's a lot of options out there. You don't have to get behind the wheel. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not saying I'm perfect and I never did it. I was an idiot when I first turned 21. You think like, oh yeah, I'm fine and I'll drive the 6 blocks home. And then you get a little older and you realize, what the hell was I thinking? I could have killed myself and someone else. He's going to be 50. Like, you should be growing out of this at this point. Like, yeah. You should know better.
Yeah, 100%. And that's it's so weird, like, because I read a lot of the comments on Facebook and things like that, and there were a lot of people who just want him to get better. You have the people who are blaming everybody else but Jeff, and then some people are just like, well, just get him back in the ring. No, that is the last place he needs to fucking be. Like, he needs help, and he's not going to be in the ring for a while.
No, it's probably not going to be for a very long time, if ever again. Because who knows how long that he might get put away. Who knows how long like rehab might take. And it's not even just rehab that is one of the conditions. He has to like get help and stay sober. So, I mean, we might never see Jeff Hardy in a ring again. Like,
yep, at least not in an AEW ring or WWE.
Yeah, I was gonna say, who knows if WWE would even take him back at this point. I mean, I don't know. And like, I don't even know if like Impact would. Just think of like that match he had with Sting where he was barely conscious. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Like, out of all the wrestling companies that Jeff has worked for, the only one that I truly take issue with is Impact and how they handled it. Because if they were having to find him passed out in stairwells and then waking him up and sending him out to the ring, like, that never should have happened. That is the only wrestling company that really holds any blame, because that isn't not only enabling, that's putting so many people in danger other than Jeff himself.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because you have to protect yourself and your partner in the ring. Like, and I mean partner as like your opponent, because we all know this isn't real fighting. We all know this is a choreographed dance they're doing in the ring. So you need to protect yourself and who you're in the ring with, and that's so irresponsible to send somebody out into the ring like that.
I'm surprised Sting didn't quit after that, honestly.
His face, oh my god, every time I see that, like, he looked like he wanted to kill.
Yeah, I'm even surprised that Sting had anything to do with Jeff in AEW after that. Like, even like with the stuff with Darby Allin, that he was even willing to like be anywhere near.
I mean, you don't know what could have happened behind the scenes. They could have worked it out, and Sting strikes me as the type of person that if you're genuinely sorry, that he'd probably try to forgive.
Like a good vibes type of guy, honestly.
Yeah, like I think that he doesn't he doesn't strike me as someone that would hold a grudge. I think that if you're like truly sorry and like you talk it out like adults, I think he seems like the type that gives you the benefit of the doubt and like another chance.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, from all accounts, it's not like Jeff was showing up to AEW things fucked up. So,
Right. He never looked like he was under the
I mean, his body looked fucked up.
He looked in pain, but he didn't look like he was like drinking or taking anything. Like,
yeah,
that's why it was so surprising. I honestly thought that he was doing a lot better, and I thought, being with his brother again would be a good thing. And like, I don't know. I thankfully am not an addict, so I don't really fully. I can't empathize with how it feels. So who knows what could have triggered it? Could have been pain. Could have been anything.
that's the only thing that concerned me was like how clear it was that he was in so much pain. That was the only thing that worried me. And it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know whether to be happy that they didn't find pain pills in his, like, I kind of wonder if he was just like, well, I'm staying away from pain medication. I'm just going to have a few drinks to take the edge off this. And it just, poof.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you're feeling a lot of pain, it's going to take a lot of drinks until that edge falls off. So, but hopefully everything shakes out where Jeff is able to get the help that he clearly needs, and hopefully he wants it, like really wants it, and stays sober.
Yeah, I'm just glad no one was hurt.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
It could have been, it could have honestly been like a Sunny situation,
Mm-hmm.
It just thankfully no one got hurt, killed, nothing like that happened. And same. I just hope that he gets the help that he needs and gets better because I really like Jeff Hardy. I always have.
Yeah, yeah, and by all accounts, like no one's ever had like a bad word to say against him as far as like how he interacts with other people. Like no one's ever, you never hear someone be like, yeah, Jeff Hardy is a total dick. Like that's just not something you hear. Same thing with Matt. Like it doesn't happen. Um,
And you've
the
had the opportunity to meet them, right?
Yeah, and they were both very, very kind to all of everyone who waited in their line. And I waited in line for like, I don't know, 3 hours. Like it was a long ass line. And where I was standing, I was able to actually see like everyone go up to them and talk to them. And yeah, it was, to say it was a dream come true is like an understatement. But yeah, I got my photo with them. They both gave me hugs. It was great. And I think it was a couple of years ago. I think Maxwell was about a year old. I think maybe Jeff's youngest daughter was just born. I think maybe, I don't know, something like that. But yeah. Oh, it was wonderful. That was like the year I lost my mother and I got to meet them. So it was made the year much better. But yeah, that being said, if you ever have the chance to meet the Hardys, I highly recommend doing it. You won't be disappointed. And like they interacted with everyone. Like Matt Hardy asked me how long I had been watching them. And at that point, then I realized I'd been watching them for 20 years, and I was like, I'm so old.
Not as old as them. You got that at least.
Wait, what?
Not as old as them. You have that at least.
Yeah, it probably didn't feel great because I said aloud, I'm so old. So yeah.
Was that 3 wrestlers that you made feel old now? What was it? Lawler and
Lawler and the Hardys. Yep.
nice.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Although they didn't seem to mind as much as Jerry Lawler did. Whoops. So the other thing that like kind of made news. What are you doing, dog?
Which one's that?
Shutter. I think he wants to get up onto the bed, but he's worried that he's gonna trip up on the wiring. Come here. Just hang out here, Jesus. Was the match between Thunder Rosa and is it Maria Shafir? Is that how you say her name?
I believe.
Shafir, I think, is how you say her last name, but Marina. I know it's not Maria.
Yeah, I don't know why I always think it's. I'm pretty sure it's Marina. Let me double check.
It doesn't seem right because, like, when I think of Marina, I think of the place where boats go.
Yeah, it's Marina.
Okay.
I thought so. You should be double guessing myself.
But they had. So their match was awful. And people have been speculating that Thunder Rosa was sandbagging Marina. But the thing is, it just looked like to me, as someone who has never wrestled, that they didn't know what the other person was going to do. Because the points where some people have pointed out that, like, oh, I think that Thunder Rosa was sandbagging here. It looks like she's trying to do a different move. Like she's preparing her body to do something else. And and then like Thunder Rosa realizes it and then like goes with it. There was another thing where Marina tried to do something with her and Thunder Rosa's leg gets like stuck behind Marina. Like it was just a mess.
Yeah.
And there's a reason that Marina was not, it's not even that she wasn't put up on the main roster. She wasn't used in NXT because those are the kind of matches she has.
Yeah, that seemed more than just miscommunication. That was a clear case of someone can wrestle and someone cannot.
Yeah. And I know like someone else, so the big controversy now is one of the things that was saying that Thunder Rosa was sandbagging her to make herself look better. Marina liked it on Twitter, and so did Britt Baker, which would be a little bit weird considering Britt Baker and her never had like a match issue like that. And in Thunder Rosa in all of her interviews has said about how she really wants to make the women's wrestling bigger and wants like, you know, more women to get recognition, and it doesn't really seem to fit.
No, especially like think about that match that she had with Serena Deeb. Like that was one of the best matches on the card. Just like we've said it many times, just pure wrestling match. There was no sandbagging in that match. Didn't like Britt come out and say like she doesn't, even though she liked that tweet, or did I hear that wrong? I could have sworn that when I was hearing about it that I forget what I was watching, and someone said like Britt said no, but liked the tweet, so it looked like, well, which one is it?
Oh, maybe. I mean, and it could be something as easy as like she just accidentally liked it because that happens.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's this weird anti-Thunder Rosa sentiment growing, and I don't understand why.
I think it's like the same thing that happened with Hangman, that the build up to winning the belt was so much better, and then once a face wins the belt, they're not booked the best, so then fans start to get a little bored and restless, and start somewhat turning on the chant. I mean, Hangman was getting booed towards the end of it. Like, it was pretty split 50-50 between him and Punk when for what, like 3 years, Hangman probably got the loudest pop in the company.
Yeah.
I think that Thunder Rosa is just also suffering from the weird booking that these face champions get, and fans are turning on it, which means that they're turning on her.
Which is so, like, because I feel like at least with Hangman, people didn't like. It's one thing to turn on someone's character or the storylines. They are turning on her, saying things like that she's like that's turning on the wrestler themselves.
Yeah, I don't know. Wrestling fans are weird.
Yeah. I mean, we've said it before. There are definitely toxic groups within wrestling fandom. And they rear their ugly little heads all the time.
Yep, and Bryan Danielson said it years ago. Fickle. Like,
Yeah. Very fickle.
Even though he was playing a heel character at the time, he was speaking some truth when he was screaming that all those fans are fickle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like wrestling fans can be great, can really rally behind someone. And then there's the dark underbelly as well.
Yeah, it's honestly, I feel like wrestling is one of the more toxic fan bases, like up there with like Star Wars and what's the other one? They're Star Wars is like the most like infamous for being like a really toxic fan base.
I mean, it's starting to change a little bit now, but like gamer fandom has often, for years it's been talked about how toxic it can be for folks of color or for women, queer people. So, I mean, there's an intersection obviously too between wrestling and games. Someone had posted on one of the cultaholic groups, like, share the story about how you got into wrestling, and a lot of them were people who got into it because they played the WWE video games, and then so they started watching. Like, a ton of the people that were on there said like it was one of the various games. So I think maybe those are not the people who responded to that, but maybe that's where we're seeing a lot of the toxic, maybe like people who belong to both and are toxic in one are just like leeching their toxicity into the other.
Possibly. I feel like a lot of communities that are like a lot of fan bases that are heavily more men tend to be super toxic. Like, even think like music. Like, if you have a girl that says that like they listen to XYZ rock bands, you're getting the whole, oh, we'll name like 5 of their top whatever, and I want you to list every deep track, deep cut on this album that only came like number 72 on the chart. Like, you're like quizzed about it. Like, I don't really see like that level of toxic behavior with more like women based stuff. Like, I don't
You
know.
don't see that stuff in Buffy fandom, I will tell you that right now.
It I mean, except for maybe if you go back to like NSYNC versus Backstreet Boys, that got kind of heated. Like,
that was a little extreme.
but like, I don't know. It just, there's a lot of toxic behavior in men dominated fandoms, and wrestling is definitely more heavily like men than women. Like,
So the stats on that are definitely changing. I read something recently where WWE's audience is a little over 40% women now. So I would imagine that AEW's audience is somewhat similar. Now, when you get into indie wrestling, I'm sure that's where things change. But I mean, honestly, as we all know, most wrestling fans are attracted to like the more commercial stuff. So whether it's AEW, WWE, even New Japan, because that or Impact. I'm sure once you get down to other things like Ring of Honor and stuff like that, it might be a bit different. But I mean, you have so many little girls who their dads brought them to wrestling events and still are. And you have these amazing female wrestlers now that like little girls can look at and be like, I want to be her. I want to be like that. So, and you know, they're not having things like bra and panty matches. So that's helpful too.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Although from the little snippets I hear about NXT, it feels like we're that freaking close in NXT.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the only thing I know other than like Mandy Rose is still there is that one woman wrestles in
Pajamas.
like a onesie though pajama.
Yeah.
So I mean, she's very covered. I will say that.
That is one of the dumbest gimmicks I've ever heard in my life. That's like they took a
She has
look
to
at
be so
Orange Cassidy.
sweaty.
They're like, oh look, a lazy character. Let's try our own. Like,
She has to be so sweaty. That's all I can think. Can you imagine? Like, 'cause
no.
I have pajamas like that for the winter, and you will sweat your ass off. Ugh.
Yeah, they're mostly flannel. Like, aren't they those type of pajamas? I can't imagine. Oh God, so uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I have to wash those a lot. But yeah. AEW also debuted a new belt because they needed one. The All Atlantic Championship, right? That's what, which is a bizarre name.
Considering
Because,
that New Japan is involved in this.
yes. As soon as I saw that, I was like, what about the Pacific and the other ocean? Whatever. Yeah, like they did not need. There's too many belts right now, especially with Ring of Honor being there and being defended on Dynamite and Rampage, and I'm sure Dark and everything else. Like at this point, if you don't have a belt, maybe you should quit wrestling if you're in AEW.
I really thought when like I heard a new title was being announced that it was going to be the trios tag team finally, because I mean that makes sense. They've been doing so many like trio tag matches from the very beginning that I mean apparently that's still coming, that they are going to do that, but for like another singles title, I definitely didn't see that. I didn't think that it wasn't even on my radar because I mean you already have your AEW belt, you already have your TNT title. I'm like, are they gonna do a third for the women now too? Like,
I hope not, because
oh,
they're not booking the two that they have well. Like they are only booking one of them well at a time.
yeah,
When you master two, we can talk about a third.
yeah, I don't know. I have a feeling that this belt was created and going to go to a New Japan person because of the new like working relationship between AEW and New Japan to kind of keep them happy, like the higher ups in New Japan happy. So if that's the case, that's not terrible because like it won't be on TV every week. It'll be probably just a once like once in a while thing. And I think Ishii is winning that because he's going to be one of the four people that are in the New Japan part of it because they're having the matches for them in New Japan, like their qualifying matches. And it's like one of the cases of like three not so big names and then one bigger name. So it's like, okay, you know who's gonna win. And we've already seen him in AEW. Like, I think that is gonna be, I think it's gonna be a New Japan guy that ends up winning it just to kind of keep them happy.
Have you seen the thing now about the certain wrestlers who are also contracted to, is it MLW? I think it might be MLW. Where the Lucha Brothers are one of the ones that fall
Oh,
under,
yeah.
about how they can't wrestle, like they can't be at Forbidden Door because that other company, which I think is MLW, and I could be wrong, does not get along with New Japan. So now they can't be there. And like there's a bunch of other wrestlers that are gonna that are falling under the same category. The Lucha Brothers stood out the most to me because I was like, well, that sucks.
Which means that Penta definitely isn't winning that title. Like,
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know how they didn't think about that before this. Like
I don't know.
you would have thought that there would have been like someone would have been like, there's this thing. But I mean, that I feel like that happens more times in wrestling than we would care to know about. I mean, even going back to like when Jeff Jarrett's contract ran out, he was scheduled for that match, the Good Housekeeping match against China, and they had to pay him what I assume is dump trucks of money to get him to do the match. But now he's back in WWE anyway.
I don't know how long the Lucha Bros are with that company, but Penta was I can't remember if Ray Phoenix was too, but Penta at least was at All In, and that had New Japan people in it. So I'm wondering, like, if that's why they thought that wouldn't be an issue and didn't think of it before Forbidden Door, because Kenny had a match with Penta at All In. That was and like Okada was there, and is there anybody else?
I don't know when the falling out happened either between the two companies. So
Yeah, that also would play a part.
yeah, but yeah, there's so much drama in between wrestling companies. It's really funny and also annoying.
Yeah, it's sad because there's a lot of fun matches that you could potentially have if you would do like cross company stuff. Like I still want Kenny and the Young Bucks against the New Day at some point in my life. Like I have to have that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I did see that Big E threw his neck brace in the garbage, so he's trucking along. Thank goodness.
Yeah,
Um,
gets better soon.
yeah, and not just so that we can see him back in the ring, but so he can have like a happy, functioning life. Um, yeah. As soon as he said the New Day, I was like, "Oh, Big E!"
I know, I miss him.
Yeah, what a delightful human being.
Right?
Yeah, which I feel like you could say that for anybody in New Day.
Yeah.
Or Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I still I will die on this hill that I don't know how anyone can dislike the Young Bucks. Like dislike their heel character, that's fine. But when people like attack them as human beings, they seem like two of the coolest dudes in the world. Like I don't understand how anybody can not like them.
Right. Yeah. They just seem hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, honestly, for the most part, like they're another one, like you don't hear shitty things about them. And considering like the shit fans pull, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Um the only like thing that I really remember from WWE this week that I can think of is that Elias will be showing up on Raw next week.
I want to know how they're pulling this off.
I'm so interested. Like, are they gonna keep doing where like, are they gonna do something where he's just says that Ezekiel says something like Elias got stuck in traffic, womp womp,
No,
or
nope.
someone pointed out that Damian Sandow kind of looks like him, like that he could show up, which now, no matter what it is, if it's not Damien Sandow showing up, I'm probably going to be horribly disappointed.
Oh no, apparently they have wigs already that like it's gonna be like a beard wig and like to make him look Elias again. And he's gonna come out and do his little guitar thingy like he used to. I just want to know how like the Ezekiel character is gonna play into this. And also like if Owens attacks him, which he's going to attack him, and they want to keep it that it's Elias and Ezekiel separate, like how are they going to keep all the stuff? Like hopefully nothing falls off, but if it does, it's going to make it so much funnier. Like,
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm so it's one of the best storylines going right now.
it's ridiculous, but it's so funny.
Mm-hmm. And never in my wildest dreams did I think I would be saying that Elias / Ezekiel would be in one of the greatest
Right?
wrestling storylines going.
You know what's funny
Ever.
about it? Like funny about this whole thing too is Owens and Elias got probably the loudest and longest boo within, like, from a crowd within probably the past decade. Do you remember when they made that comment? They were in Seattle, and Seattle's like really salty still about, I forget which sport it is. Is it basketball maybe? Like one of their teams leaving to go to another city. And I forget, I think it was Elias like mentioned that team, and I think it was like a 5 minute straight loud boo. Like that you could, do you remember that segment that you couldn't even hear like either of them speaking? That's
Mhm.
how loud that crowd was booing. And to think like now they're in this like huge feud, I find it really funny.
Yeah. Ugh. Walk with Elias and speak with Zeke.
He said the walk with Elias thing too.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, I'm liking it way more than I ever thought, like ever thought I would. But this could not have worked with anyone else but Kevin Owens.
Mm-mm. No, absolutely not.
Maybe Sammy.
Yeah, I was gonna say Sammy maybe, but like I don't I don't even think Sammy could have quite pulled it off the same.
And the fact that Owens lost the match because he heard commentary say Ezekiel and he freaked out on like Byron and like the other commentators and got counted out. And that's how like Ezekiel has a win over Owens by count out because Owens had a meltdown outside of the ring.
Yeah. It's just so good. So good. I'm not gonna lie, I am looking forward to this like John Cena celebration that they're gonna be doing because I am a John Cena fan. And they keep putting up on their WWE keeps putting up on their TikTok like old Cena segments, like his old raps and stuff like that. And it's just so ridiculous. I love it all so much.
It's it's ending with the feud with him and Theory, isn't it? Like
Yeah. Most certainly. Most certainly. Um, but yeah, I'm just a huge John Cena fan. I know you absolutely hate Theory, but this will definitely catapult Theory to the stratosphere, the
yay.
trick stratosphere.
So excited for more of him on my screen.
I know
That
you love his face and his voice.
that pose off was the dumbest. Like Lashley deserves better. Like a
Oh
pose off.
yeah, I forgot about that. Didn't he? It was like the stuff that they rub on their bodies, right? That he threw in his face.
You know what? It got to the point where I started playing solitaire on my phone. Like
Gotcha.
I know he squirted something in his eye, and I whatever. Like don't care.
Yeah, I pain medication, man, from surgery. I don't really recall. I
That
just
might
remember
have,
Lashley wiping his eyes.
that might have made it more enjoyable.
I think maybe what it is, because like I was looking at Austin Theory's face, being like, I wonder what Megan doesn't like. I think it might be his eyebrows. His eyebrows are a lot. Maybe it's that.
his mouth is 70% of his face. It's not the eye. I don't know. He looks like that dude at a party that is going to keep asking you to sleep with him for like 3 hours straight and not take no for an answer to the point where you just leave the party. Like, he looks like that kind of dude. I don't know what it is. I just get bad, creepy, like, stuff something in my drink vibes from him. I don't know what it is. I'm not a fan.
I just get the like what he was doing in NXT, like dumb as a doornail, like, or no, that's dead as a doornail. Just dumb. I get dumb from him. Like the stuff that he did in NXT, he did really good like dumb facial expressions and like do 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 do. Oh yeah, I'll follow you into the woods, Mr. Axeman. Like, just stupid. I say that because he was abducted by Dexter Lumis.
Oh, an abduction or a kidnapping in NXT. How unusual.
Those never happen.
No, never in NXT. Not every week or anything.
No.
NXT really did, like, just plummet, didn't it? Like, it went from one of the coolest things on TV to what the hell am I even seeing right now? Please change the channel.
Yeah, I haven't really tried to watch it in a while. I know what's his face is down there now.
Apollo.
Yeah, I was like the guy with the nice teeth. Apollo Crews is one of those people who I almost have a hard time believing that he is a heel because he looks like the sweetest human being on earth.
Doesn't he?
Yeah.
I didn't buy into his heel gimmick either. It just he
looks too kind.
He has a baby face. Like, that's, to use a wrestling term, he just has a baby face. He doesn't look like he could be mean.
Mm-hmm. Like, if he was a serial killer, he would get away with it every single time.
Oh yeah, 100%. I would never suspect it was him.
Yeah, like, oh.
No theory.
I'm getting a certain feeling about what you think about Theory here.
He just looks shady. Like, I'm almost afraid to look into his personal life. You know, like.
I thought you were saying I'm afraid to look into his eyes, like he's Medusa.
Hey, Medusa got a bad rap.
He did. It's true. There's a reason she turned people to stone. Yep. It was a gift.
Team Medusa.
Yeah. What the hell were we talking about?
We were talking about what we remember from WWE. And somehow we, landed on the theory. Oh, you were saying John Cena. That's how we got there.
Oh yeah. Oh, and that's because for my random wrestling crap that I have is my little John Cena pop that I had autographed by him at New York Comic Con this year.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, it was a crazy intense line. Like, they had him behind so many different curtains. Like, you could not have your phone out. It was a lot. He was very kind though. Like, everyone had like a moment with them. Like, he made sure to talk to everyone. Like, Nam got really excited. Nam's left-handed, and so is John Cena, and he realized it as he was signing this. And John Cena said, like, when Nam said, "Oh, you're left-handed," he goes, "Yeah, I can't do anything right," and then winked at me, and I almost died. I was just like, haha, thank you so much.
Oh boy.
Whatever. John Cena winked at me.
The dad jokes from John Cena. Very, very nice.
Yep. Of course, like, that is exactly what I would expect from John Cena, the dad jokes. But yeah.
My brother's left-handed too. One twin is left-handed and the other is right-handed.
That's strange.
Yeah, right?
Huh. Which one is Oh yeah, you said once about it was like a family reunion or something.
Yeah.
You knew that they had switched because of that.
One cousin picked up on it.
Mm.
Just one cousin, and she was like, "Wait a minute, Eric's the left-handed one," and then that's how I was caught.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always found that interesting that they were twins, and one like each of them have a different dominant hand. I don't know if that's common with twins, or if they're just as weird as I always knew they were. Like,
I don't know. I'm gonna start asking the twins I know though.
be an interesting thing to take stats of.
Right. Excuse me. Which hand are you in your twins? Informal research.
And then, if you have triplets, you'll have a lefty or righty and someone that's ambidextrous.
I'm glad you went that way. I immediately went with no hands. So righty, lefty, no hands. That'd
Oh,
be if you had 4 children, I guess.
and that's when Sabrina's goth side shows a little bit more. The no hands.
Yeah, you'd always know which one was which with that one.
It's definitely, wake me up before you go and wake me up inside.
I knew what you're talking about. Oh, yes. Is there anything else in the wrestling realm you'd like to discuss?
Okay, so New Japan.
Oh yes, go.
My realm of expertise. No. So we realized that we haven't watched New Japan in a while. Because we usually try to keep up and watch like on their bigger shows, like their pay-per-views, and Dominion's a bigger one, and that was this weekend. So we watched most of it live. Because it started at 1 a.m. Eastern time, and it was Saturday night, and neither of us had to work on Sunday, so we thought, we'll stay up a little bit. We haven't stayed up late in a while either, because we're getting old and boring. So I mean, there were like tag matches, like there always are. They do a lot of tags, and they have like big, like their main event single matches. They announced the G1 that they're having 8 more people than usual in it this year. We thought that meant they were going to fill those spots with AEW people. I think a lot of people thought that. They usually just have an A block and a B block. So it's like a round robin tournament within the A block and in the B block. And then the 2 winners of both blocks go on and they fight to win the G1, win the cup. And they're going to have 4 blocks this year. Have no idea how that's going to work. But there's only one AEW person that is going to be in the G1. And it is not anybody that anyone expected. It is Lance Archer. And let me tell you that Lance Archer got like the biggest pop from the crowd, and they're not even supposed to talk, like make noise yet. So their restrictions with COVID are a little bit different than ours. Everybody's still wearing masks, and they're not allowed to cheer or boo or really like, because it's an airborne thing. So they can just clap. They weren't really following that for the first time on this one, because you definitely heard some cheers for Lance Archer, and oh boy, did you hear noise for the main event as well. Tanahashi won his match, so I think everybody expected that. He's going to be the one at Forbidden Door. Now it's official. Mox versus Tanahashi. Zack Sabre Jr. called out Bryan Danielson in the post-match interview. He was saying how like the last time he was humming the final countdown, but now he's not going to be as subtle. American Dragon, he want him. That's going to be disgusting, crazy match. They are probably the 2 best technical wrestlers on the planet. And I know that Bryan Danielson has mentioned while he was still working in WWE that he would love to have a match with Zack Sabre Jr. at some point, that he thinks that Zack Sabre Jr. is the best wrestler in the world. So like coming from Bryan Danielson, that's high praise. That's going to be just, that's probably going to be my match of the night because I've wanted to see that for years.
Do we know yet if Bryan Danielson is cleared to wrestle yet?
I mean, I'm assuming he's going to be fine for Forbidden Door if they're already like saying that match is going to happen. I don't think they would promise that much of a dream match and then not be able to do it, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
What else happened? So Okada and Jay White had just an absolute banger fire match. It was so good. I mean, they're both just so good. Okada lost because of outside fuckery, which always happens with Bullet Club. There's always always some kind of outside interference. There has been forever. That's just their thing. So I don't know what's going to happen with Hangman now because Jay White said, Hangman, you could still have Okada, but I have the belt. So I saw speculation that it might end up being a fatal 4-way match between Adam Cole, Jay White, Okada, and Hangman, which I guess I'd be okay with that. That can definitely further some elite, like Kenny, Bucks, Hangman versus Bullet Club stuff that I think they were starting to really go towards before Kenny got hurt. I don't know about any other matches that might be happening yet. Nothing else was really hinted towards besides those. I think that the Good Brothers are definitely going to be there. Oh, yeah. Carl Anderson won. Oh, what do you win? Was it the U.S. belt or was it the Never Open? He won one of the titles. So he is a champion in New Japan again. Luke Gallows lost his match against their like joke wrestler, Yano. He's just like a gimmick. And he lost. He was the only Bullet Club member to lose a match that night. It was really funny. If you have a chance to find it and watch it, it's not long and it's just stupid and entertaining. But yeah, Dominion overall was pretty good. I mean, New Japan always puts on good shows. Jay White and Okada is definitely worth the watch. It's long. I think it was about an hour long. But I definitely suggest watching it if you haven't. And who knows what we're going to get at Forbidden Door now.
That's at the end of this month. Like, it's in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, I think it's the end of this month. Let me double check. End of June, I believe.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, Will Ospreay won one of the belts too. I forget which one he won. Forbidden Door. Review. Yeah, it's not this weekend coming up. It's 20-something, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Cheddar?
Cheddar? Yep. So. The dog just puked on the bed.
Oh, no. It is June 26th, by the way. Maybe we should end it there so you can clean that up.
Yep. And now he's giving me the sad eyes.
Oh.
Yeah, I saw what you did. All right. Well, on
that note.
hustle, loyalty, and respect.
Yeah.
Yabba-do.